Welcome to The Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on The Weekly, first, Chris is back.
Yay! That's all you need to know. Show over. Yeah.
Yes. And we're going to start with a little bit of a lightning round of just the past couple of weeks, just to see if there's anything you want to throw in.
Cool.
To a couple of those topics. So the things we talked about in the last, or things I talked to myself about in the last two episodes. So the tabletop simulator controversy.
Yep.
So their global chat is now offline.
Nuked.
Yeah. And the app's been on sale for a while now too.
Oh, has it? Yeah,
It's been like 50%.
Please come back. Please come back. Yeah.
Yeah. So there hasn't really been any developments.
I haven't heard
on that. But I was really impressed by the person that was, mistreated and offended. Posted a very good, detailed kind of catalog of any, so that there's not any kind of misunderstanding, or you could see, especially with text, there can be misunderstanding in intent and wording, and so I thought that was a really good idea to kind of, I've documented everything, and here it is. Yeah, this is why I was upset. Right, that was handled well.
Not on the tabletop simulator. not on the tabletop.
Oh yeah, not on that.
Yeah.
Well, I think they just don't bother. I mean, mods, it's hard to probably get people to do that probably for free or a copy of the game or whatever. So the quality, I think, of them, and also it seems like a lot of communities mods turn on each other, or they just it's an ugly situation because it's just enough power to corrupt.
Oh, interesting. Yep.
So, but not here. We've got the best blue wrenches on YouTube. All right. And the expansion for Twilight 2000, it's kind of an urban combat. So they're taking, it was the City of Krakow was the expansion for the original one in the 80s. So they're kind of giving you rules. Most of the stuff they did before wasn't like, hiding from, windows of abandoned buildings and stuff. So they're going to give you more rules for kind of guerrilla urban warfare. So that should be fun. Monsters of the Multiverse. Was so it's a D&D release, 5e, and the book is just they collected everything that they had put in the other books as far as like new monster sets and also playable monsters. Okay, but what this is doing is following the kind of the new thinking where alignments are likely, I forget what they called it, common or likely or preferred. Like it's they don't tell you what the monster's alignment is. Like they're not born evil. Right. They're just usually, or you often find them to be.
So it's not nature versus nurture. They were brought up this way.
Right.
Well, I guess it's better than
Yeah. So it's weird. So the book came out in a box set, and you can get it right now, but you have to buy like 2 other books you probably have in this box set, and it won't come out until I think the end of March by itself.
Well, I mean, hey, D&D 5e, whatever, you can't escape it. And kind of like with comics and how I've thought, I'm not a big comic person, but I've thought like I'd like to read some, not buying individual issues. I see how a collection, especially if these monsters were presented over disparate products over the years, like, cool, you want them? Here they all are on this box.
Right.
You're going to have to buy these extra 2 books with them. It makes it a bit less appealing, in my opinion. But I see why you do it. Right? Yeah.
And then some of those strategy things are a little weird. I'm sure it's the marketing guys, telling the, designers and stuff how they're going to present things.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing that's odd, though, is a lot of the monsters were kind of taken out of the context of their setting. Okay. So it's like, I guess you could play this vampire character kind of class, but they don't really, they don't really fit in something,
Well, I mean, not to bash on D&D, because sure do that often enough. I think what they're going for is a multiverse approach, right? Where anything can be used anywhere and in all of these products. So I'm sure some of them kind of lose their punch, as you said, when they're taken out of whatever context they're in. But I think that's what they're going for, just buffet style of everything,
right? And to make sure, everybody gets
what they want.
Yeah. If you're just going to want to eat a whole plate of Jell-O, that's fine with them. And the Dune NFT, we chatted, I think, a little bit about that. That was such a mess. I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding. Like the news kind of push the thing that or push the angle that these guys think they have the rights to Dune or whatever. No, they have a physical copy of these images that are kind of rare. So I think that's what they were banking on. Yeah.
Oh, I guess the physical nature, because like that was a kind of anyway. On the tail end of that, a couple of people were like, these are like available in digital format and have been for a while. Right, here's the links to all of them. Right. So I kind of browsed through that, and they're amazing. So I think it was a bit silly where I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. Okay, it's an NFT. Are they going to make NFTs from that? Oh, no, I've just caused our chat to be swarmed by bots, haven't I?
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that the scary thing is it just proves that now fan bases are going to have bank accounts and might have like millions of dollars to throw at auction sites and stuff.
Kind of haven't they all?
No, I mean like a shared. I mean, well, yeah, I mean like there's rich kids that buy the DeLorean from Back to the Future or whatever, but put all those guys together and they're talking about they've got millions of dollars to throw around at things
in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, right.
Which.
But
money is a social construct. This is like monopoly money, right?
Right.
I don't know. Like, I totally see what you're saying, and I don't like the implications of what that could lead to.
Right.
But unless and until cryptocurrency is usable in, I think, what's the word I'm trying to say? Many more places.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's something we have to worry about. But based on all the companies that are going that way, I think it's only a matter of time.
Yeah. Well, the head of this that bought the Dune book, he made liquid like $12 million just like that. So, yeah, it's a lot to worry. It's already a lot to worry. I mean, there's huge fees associated with that. But yikes. RuneScape got a tabletop RPG. Cool. So one of the original MMOs. And I'm curious, like, because that's like 20 years of, they had to write adventures and content and stuff for an MMO. Is that going to be interesting for a tabletop?
I wonder how much that would translate, or how well that translates.
Yeah, because some of it is very straightforward. You're not going to, let's go kill 5 wild boars.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to enjoy that adventure. And Alien got another, kind of the third of its cinematic adventures. I forget what they called it.
Cinematic scenario?
Yeah, but that saga is called. Yeah.
I didn't even realize they were doing a 3-part thing until I saw the last one, which is called like Heart of Darkness.
Yes.
I think. So,
and it'd be great if you can get a character to survive all 3. I wonder if you get something.
You know what?
Special.
I wonder how you would do it, because the first one you're space truckers. Mm-hmm. This just popped in my head. First one you're space truckers. Second one, I forget what the fuck it's called.
Colonial Marines. Yeah.
You're Colonial Marines, but I forget what the scenario is called.
Yeah.
And so actually, I guess there's 2 kind of modes we haven't seen: corporate and the space colonists.
Right.
So no idea, and this just popped up. I would not be surprised if Heart of Darkness, the third one, featured either corporate or colonists.
Yeah.
I think I would prefer colonists, but.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because then you would play all the classes.
Yeah.
But I'm great to see it. Same writer.
Yep, same writer.
So it's going to be good. Yeah, because I was really impressed with how.
Still haven't run Destroy Our World. That's what the Colonial Marines one is.
Right.
Still haven't had a chance to run that. But
yeah, so this will be another box set like Destroy Worlds. Yeah, I'm repeating everything I've said previously. I don't need to add anything. This is all you.
Go look at the previous episodes.
We covered babies and broadswords.
Oh, I saw that.
I deliberately chose that because of the child endangerment aspect that you love so much in tabletop.
Yeah. I saw that, and I don't know. Like, that's kind of. Well, first of all, not everything has to be not everything has to be D&D based, but I'm sure we're going to discuss that. Right?
Yes.
But like, I also saw that, and first off, I don't know how people role play with their kids. I mean, I guess I kind of do, and my kid is starting to do that where they're 4, but some people are like, we roll dice with my kids, and I'm like, I don't see a 4-year-old doing this, right?
Right.
Anyway, but I agree it's a decent imagination tool, and kids naturally do that, so I see how you can do it. I have feelings over doing traditional D&D stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Where I'm like, despite making a Thor hammer and Viking shield and all that stuff for my kid, I'm not okay when they go like pew 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 pew, right, and do all that stuff, and like, I kind of don't want to do the traditional hack and slash, let's kick in the door, kill some other intelligent creatures and take their stuff kind of thing, which I don't know if I don't think Babies and Broadswords is that, but still just kind of the idea of carrying around a sword, or the people I've seen online going, we play kind of a stripped back version. I'm just like, why?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I just thought it was a funny combination. I thought it'd be fun to talk about.
It is kind of weird.
But I don't know how you would enjoy role playing that if everybody has to be adorable all the time. It's very cringy.
Yeah, like it's funny, but I wonder how long that humor would last when you got to do it. Yeah, baby burying or whatever it was. Right. Yeah, I'm like, it's cute. It's
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a gimmick, but and maybe that'll sell some.
I'm sure maybe
books for them. Yeah. And the last thing was Homeworld is getting a tabletop RPG. So along with
I downloaded the quick start of that.
Oh, good. Yeah. Modifius just put that up. So that setting is amazing, but I think people are a little sensitive. They had a very emotional experience playing those games because the story is really. Okay. I mean, it takes Battlestar Galactica and
ramped it up to 11.
Yeah, makes it look like the boring 80s TV that it was, but it really has a really developed story. And when you realize who you are and then what you're trying to do, and so getting that across in the tabletop setting and everything, and also so there's going to be people that haven't ever played the game, don't know the story, and then people that are deeply invested in that setting. So
okay, as someone who only just now realized that Homeworld is a video game based on that thing you said, where I'm like, oh, look at this new sci-fi thing from Modifius, I'll try it out, and they're like, oh, it's obviously based on a video game. I have no clue. I wonder if that's the attraction. Right? Like some people, myself, are going to go, hey, Modifius, 2D20, sci-fi, sure, let's try it out. Mm-hmm. And other people are going to go, oh, Homeworld, let's try it out. So you've kind of got both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Whether you can or even should try to reconcile those two groups, I don't know. Because as you said, people coming in from the video game are going to go, maybe they'll go, this is great, or maybe they'll go, not as impactful as the game. I wonder what group makeup would be.
Yeah. If it has to be all from the same, because it's kind of based on I think they called them kiths, like clans or tribes of kind of Middle Eastern based, thematic in that way. So if you all have to be from the same, or if because it's very limited reasons why they would unite, except for the inciting incident of the whole game. So I don't know, but maybe that's what they're relying on, because it sounds like the Quickstarter might be the first discovery of a crashed ship on your planet.
I haven't read anything on it yet, and I'll go stealth read it at work when I finish this. But
Nice. Well, that brings us up to today.
Yay!
So we were just in rewind mode that whole time.
Retrospective.
Yes. So this week on the weekly, thought we would talk about Dark Souls. We'll be using 5e.
Yep.
And why they would be doing that. Orc Borg is a kind of a sci-fi orc setting for Orc Borg by, we'll talk about that. Paizo is making board games. So they're going to work with Gale Force 9 and push their, Starfinder, Pathfinder settings, get those characters out there. And Forbidden Psalm is doing The Last War, another expansion for the game. So let's start with the big box sitting in front of us. Yeah. So we know that the same guys that did this game, Steamforged, is doing a tabletop game, and they're also doing the RuneScape game, and they announced that's going to be powered by 5e. And then people were like, okay, so what does that mean? Because they hadn't released details yet. What does that mean for Dark Souls? Oh, that's 5e too. Okay, so how are you going to do that? And they kind of released a statement, and I think it did an interview that clarified a little bit of what they're doing. And basically one of the developers said they're going to cut 5e to ribbons before reanimating it by a bonfire. So similar to the game mechanics.
Okay.
So, but then why 5e? It continues. After every statement in this release, that I said, well, so why 5e after everything? They are going to also include a bloodied mechanic or a bloodied feature. And that was a 4e staple. So they probably would be better if they're still thinking tactically and everything to strip apart 4e, but maybe you can't open license. Maybe only the current system has the open game license. So there'll be a bloodied mechanic. So options open to you, different abilities or spells or whatever when you're below half of your health will start to happen. So a player character, if they ever lose half of their what they're calling position.
Which is a combination of health and stamina.
Yes, right. So that's the other thing. That's the other mechanic they're adding is position, which, because it's a tactical kind of maneuvering game, they're trying to make the combat, feel more. And they did a really good job of translating that in the board game, because you're kind of in zones. And that gives you different advantage. And like this miniature you can see.
The giant penis head?
Yeah, it's...
Sorry.
It's... sorry. It's it's got its facings, it's got its front side and its flanks and its rear. Mark, so that would be very useful. And I'm really curious because it's the same company, because there's really good boards in here. And I wonder if they're going to just say, yeah, we've got a lot of miniatures. So if you do want to play this on the table, here's how to incorporate here's how to use the combat with stuff we've already produced.
I wonder, I think a lot of that depends on whatever agreement they have with WotC and Hasbro.
Yes. Yeah,
if which I imagine they would have to have one to, use like the 5. Okay, there's a lot of fan 5e stuff that uses 5e logos or whatever, or says like compatible. Why use 5e? Name recognition.
Yeah.
Name recognition, built-in fan base, and that's probably the major reason. So even if the Dark Souls role-playing game doesn't look anything like 5e with all the changes they've made, if they can say, we use the 5e chassis, that's automatically going to get people to look at it. And I'm mildly disappointed, but no shade. I tend to think that like Dark Souls is a big enough property and has enough name recognition on its own where they could have used an original system or anything else and still would have gotten people to look at it. Right. Though arguably perhaps not as many as if they said 5e.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And they could have always done, what a lot of people do an original system and then say, okay, and then we'll port it to 5e if there's demand for it. If people are not excited by this, but especially with the mechanics that they built for a board game, you're kind of halfway there.
Sometimes more than halfway there, depending on how board game-y your role playing game feels. And if Dark Souls is like, I don't know. Okay, do you go into a town in Dark Souls? Do you interact with people other than at the point of a weapon? If not, then how much more did you need? I don't know.
True. Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to handle the kind of respawning, like reanimation of the character, because that's going to be very different from how you would play 5e. Is you're just expected to die, to fail, and keep coming back. Yeah. And how do you manage that with a whole party and
Well, reading that thing, right? They said, okay, like if you there's no death save, right? If you get to 0 hit points, you're dead. Right. And then you resurrect back at whatever campfire you did. And they also said if half your party dies, that's it. You're all wiped. Right? So, okay. I like that, right? It encourages people to play smart and help each other out because, hey, if half the team gets to it, we're all TPK'd, so let's not do that. Yeah. Then they mentioned something about how you're going to lose memories or slowly lose your humanity for each time you resurrect back at the back of the bonfire. Didn't really go into it, but that reminded me of the Dungeon World supplement, Cold Ruins of Last Life, where the world, it's similar. The world is dead, and you all play undead. And of course, you can just resurrect, but you have this track of spark or something else. I forget exactly what it's called. And each time you do resurrect, you got to cross one of these things off, and you lock out options, character advancement options. So there is a mechanical penalty, and I thought, they're probably going to do something similar here because they don't no one has a monopoly on it. But I really liked how they did it in Cold Ruins of Last Life because it's kind of Dungeon World and it feels a bit more thematic and you're that much farther away from reclaiming kind of the knowledge you lost when the world broke and all this stuff. So hopefully Steamforged will do something interesting with it instead of just a stat debuff.
Yeah,
right. That's kind of what I'm expecting.
Yeah, so we'll see. And this is the shame about this coming to tabletop is there's so much independent RPGs, tabletop RPGs that were inspired by Dark Souls, and now those are going to kind of get eclipsed because do you want to drink? Do you want Coca-Cola or do you want the artisan, made cola? It's well, I don't know how good that's going to be.
You say artisan made, and I'm sure it is artisan made, but when I hear artisan made, I think expensive.
Right. That's true.
Most indie games are priced aggressivly reasonably, right?
Yeah, right. So you could try all 10 that are inspired for the price of the core book. Yeah, that's true.
I wonder, and I'm sure there's going to be a number of itch jams called where it's just okay, we could have done something better. Or why use 5e? I wonder if people, I would hope, but I don't think, I wonder if people would go, okay, we tried Dark Souls, didn't do what we wanted to do, let's try some of these other indie games.
Yeah, that could be.
I tend to think people who already do that would already do that, and people who go, no, 5e are not going to.
Well, that might be worth a review, like going through this system, saying what works about it, what is still, undeniably not playably 5e, and then here's other options.
Right,
I think that would be an interesting approach to the
I also do want to play
review.
the board game.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We will get
that would be cool.
We'll get to all of that. Yeah, and that'll be fun to look at the board game rules added to what they did with the combat and say, yeah, they had that already.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like, why didn't you use this?
Right.
Yeah.
You have everything in this box.
You had it all right there. Yeah.
And you went to 1-inch grids and, oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, something else that is coming out that looks really fun is Orc Borg. So this is
not Orc Borg or whatever. Are there umlaut? Is there an umlaut there?
There's no umlaut in this, and it's a C instead of a K because K is Games Workshop.
Is it?
I think so. I thought
that's why they went to like orcs or whatever it is.
I think for the fantasy, for fantasy, yeah. So these are sci-fi, these are sci-fi orcs. So Rowan, Rook and Decard are releasing this. And it's the story. So players play as orcs trapped on a spaceship flying towards a crash landing on some unfortunate planet. So it's
you're playing the WOG.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So So the derelict is a big, beautiful trash rocket smashing its way through space, and it's jam-packed with orcs, generation upon generation of them, sparring and scrapping, building monstrous idols to their mad gods, and praying for doom when the derelict will crash into heaven and disgorge their ever die hard big tooth bastards in a glorious tide. Yeah, so very 40K.
Well, I mean, okay, why not?
Yeah, of course.
As someone who is potentially developing space nuns with guns, that is not 40K inspired at all.
Not at all.
Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Like, this sounds awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And they've got so they said that there's going to be rules for making the orcs punchy and just exactly kind of what you would expect from sci-fi orcs. So that should be fun. They will be coming to a crowdfunding platform soon, but they haven't specified details. Okay. Yeah. There's no details. But they will have rules for piloting big robots, permanent injuries, cybernetic rules, and tips for jamming pre-made maps into derelicts as a valid way to reduce prep time for the
I never would have thought of this, but that maps, I think, incredibly well with Mork Borg. Because Mork Borg is like, the apocalypse is coming, shit's getting real bad, and I'm pretty sure it's unpreventable. Right. So I'm a little bit burned out on the let's play bastards and grab as much gold before the world ends, right? But this is a really awesome interpretation of it's kind of the same idea. We've just nope, you're orcs, this thing is gonna fucking crash and that's gonna be the apocalypse, right? And so let's play that out. I really like the change in theme, but kind of still keeping the core bits.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
People tune in to hear how articulate I am, don't they?
Yeah, and visually too, I think there's a lot to do with this game. Oh, and they also said they're hiring a talented artist and designer, Roland Kunz, Infinite Goblin and Fragnarok creator or artist, as a co-creator for the art. Nice. So so they specifically picked an artist to handle this look. So yeah, it should be fun. I'm really curious to check it out. And I
hope the book is like Mork Borg level of art book, except not yellow, green.
Right. Yeah. I hope so. Yeah. That would be great. Yes. Very green indeed. All right. And another announcement that we got that was a little odd. I mean, I guess it's like they're trying to find another gateway into their properties. But Paizo has teamed up with Gale Force 9, and they're producing 3 board games.
3?
Yeah, just immediately announced for both the Pathfinder and Starfinder settings. It sounds a little fun, a little clever, and I hope that they're taking advantage of the look and the characters, kind of their iconic characters, in their setting to bring people in and make them curious about actually playing Pathfinder. The first one that they announced is called Pathfinder Level 20.
Okay.
So players will play kobolds, fleeing a level 19 paladin who's trying to farm XP to reach level. So this is a bit kind of meta.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty meta. Yeah.
And so the idea is you're trying to prevent him from reaching level 20.
Okay.
And so that's, So I kind of reverse. I think they called it like reverse Munchkin.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like, the idea.
I did. You know what? I saw that. And the reverse Munchkin thing kind of turned me off. Because frankly, Munchkin seems like. It's the monopoly of games, right? And hearing Pathfinder level 20, I was like, who wants to play a level fucking 20 character with how crunchy that system is, right? Like that was, I'm a bit like, nope. Then I heard the premise. I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds kind of interesting. Yeah.
But the thing that I liked that's kind of a relief after this, the kind of Kickstarter level of board games, they're pricing it at $30.
Oh,
so it's going to have modest
Yep.
components, and it's going to not be this like ridiculous. Okay, we've got miniatures for everything, and it comes in this giant box. So I think they're thinking, and kind of like the way that Gale Force 9 did the Dune game, and they do kind of strip down. Dune is not quite. It's still like a $50, $60 game. But if they're going to keep
reasonably board game priced.
No, definitely. But I was happy to see if they're going to do these cheap games that have a fun mechanic that will make people say, oh, hey, what about this Pathfinder world? Yeah. So the two other games are going to be Starfinder Pirates of Skydock, which will come out Q3 of this year. And then before the end of the year, we'll get one more called Pathfinder Tall Tales. But no details about how those play, just the names themselves.
Interesting. Well, based only on that level 20 thing, I was imagining kind of a Talisman-esque adventure game, especially based on their Pathfinder adventure card game, which seemed kind of like we're going to try and replicate the TTRPG experience, but in card format.
Right.
That's what I was expecting. And then hearing Pathfinder level 20 and how radically different that is, I had guesses about what the other two would be, but I'm probably going to be wrong. They don't sound like adventure board games, like Descent or whatever. Maybe because they smartly realized that those games already have the big juggernauts in them already, that being Descent.
Right.
Why try and replicate something? Let's do something completely different.
No, that's true. Yeah, I'm curious, and if they keep these two other games kind of smaller and affordable, that would be great. I think that the weird mistake that they did, aside from the production quality of that game, but with that card game that they had, it was the actual scenarios, the actual adventures. So if you played that card game,
you kind of knew.
Yeah, you couldn't really play it. I mean, it's like it spoiled everything. Like who was the big bad and where the cult was hiding. And it's like the locations were in the game.
Interesting. I didn't think about it going that way. I thought it the other way, where like if you had already played the TTRPG, that scenario, not that you could metagame, but you probably knew what you had to do and what kind of cards you were aiming for to
you knew kind of a little bit more what to expect, and any kind of characters turning or whatever, any secret you would know any secret identities or whatever. But for me, I was really like, so I guess I'm never going to play this now, and
that would be a game you would run. Sorry.
But the Pathfinder Level 20 was designed by Dylan Bartolo, who has co-designed Dragonfire and Evil Dead, the board game. A designer with some experience, and we'll see if they keep that up with the other games. I mean, I love the artwork for Pathfinder. The world is is okay. It's different enough that you don't feel like it doesn't feel like generic D&D. Like they differentiated enough with some of the feel, and I like what they did with Starfinder. I like the feel of Starfinder. So we'll see how much luck, and they need stuff to kind of bring people in. I'm glad that they're still in there fighting. It's definitely a David and Goliath story. But all right, and the last thing that I was excited to see is Forbidden Psalm is doing another expansion.
Ooh, this is the second?
And they previously did kind of a direct expansion of the adventures that were in the first Forbidden Psalm game. So in the path of the wizard, So it kind of gave you another set that continued the narrative, and this will be a whole other almost standalone thing itself. Yeah, I'm sorry, it is a complete standalone game and RPG setting. So it's a complete setting, and from the artwork, it looked very World War I, and kind of what they're kind of pushing it up. to a more specific look. And so it's still system or a miniatures agnostic setting, and it can be played. So the big difference about this is it can be played solo, cooperative, or kind of versus.
Cool.
And so a crew of 5 miniatures per player against AI-controlled monsters in scenarios that take you across the wastes of the last war. So plays enemies cooperative or solo.
Cool.
And they do a nice job, like they did with their previous. So this is on Kickstarter right now, and I'll put a link to it. And like their previous campaigns, they're very clear, and they don't have crazy stretch goals. Right. So it's like you can get this book. Yeah, you get this book, and you can get our previous stuff as add-ons. So especially if you want things in hardcover, you can't get print-on-demand hardcover. So this is a good chance to get hardcover of everything that they've done. But you don't need the previous games to play this one. So if this
smart,
this game and system sounds interesting, but at the same time, it's still fully compatible with Mork Borg as far as the RPG.
Again, I've looked at the art book. No, it's a game too. Right? I've looked at the book from Orc Borg. It obviously has a setting. I wonder how easy or not it would be to make it World War I. Right? Kind of like set it during the last war. Like you probably could with minimal effort, but I had heard about this miniatures game before, and like that last war, World War I, made me go, oh right, that's what it is. So I understand now why they kind of made it a standalone game. Right. Because maybe you liked the fantasy thing and you don't want to play World War I era Mork Borg, or maybe you do, but you don't want the fantasy. So they've given you those options.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice move, and I'm glad that they keep moving forward with this, because they've got a really active like Facebook group and stuff. There's a community that really is supporting the game, and a couple of the things that they're offering in this Kickstarter. That one of the things I think was available before, but this time it will be in print, is a Dead Festival. So some holiday in theme scenario. So maybe something that was just offered digitally, and then Dungeons and Death, which has new scenarios as well as the introduction of the Endless Dungeon for the.
That sounds nice.
Yes. Oh, and also they're going to do reference card. They're going to produce a deck of physical cards for references and for monsters.
Cool.
I believe. So yeah, it looks good, and they have great art, and the use any miniatures you want and build your own terrain and stuff is really fun. So there'll be a lot of good stuff for that. So yeah, I was happy to see that they're still active and doing it, and they even during all this mess they ship the books right on time.
Because they do things kind of relatively not small, but they keep things manageable.
Right.
They don't pull a Steve Jackson Games and Ogre. Right,
where they kind of overcommit and everything. Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. And I think, did they use Exalted Funeral to fulfill? Maybe. Yeah. So I forget, but it arrived very well. So they don't overcommit, and they don't do anything beyond what they're able to fulfill. Smart. So check them out. It's really fun, and the Forbidden Psalm is excellent as far as the the small group. Everyone has like a kind of a curse and some kind of ability.
No min-maxing in this game.
Yeah, right.
You're just like, oh, this is what I'm showing up with.
Right. And I like because you kind of choose what class they're going to be. So you can choose like, okay, he's going to be my sniper. Oh, he's blind. Right. So it's really, it is really great how those work out. Yeah, definitely. Anti-min-maxer.
I wonder what that, come up with a word for that. Min-max. Average? Maybe?
Yeah, right. Yeah, just
medium,
anodyne. Yeah, mean. All right, but yeah, that's it for this week. And so good to see you. Glad to be back and have a discussion.
Cool.
Instead of a monologue.
Yeah, if you have a discussion with yourself, I think you should call someone.
Yeah, people kept calling the authorities the whole last 2 weeks, and I didn't understand why. He's just talking and talking. All right. So where can people find you?
On Twitter, as always. That's Hivemynd, HYVEMYND, where I forget what I'm talking about. Probably parenting stuff, right? Because that's what I'm tied up with recently.
Yeah. So no more progress on Sludge or anything coming up?
No, because I don't have nights off. I'm too tired of this. I can't assemble anything. Anyway. So, how about you?
Oh, I'm still doing my single panel gag cartoon. So gocomics.com/domestic abuse and abuse cartoons on all social media, as well as YouTube and Twitch, where the live stream happens every Monday night, Tuesday, afternoon, and I'm doing it a little bit earlier, so I think I'm screwing over Australia a little bit. The time wise, it's a little bit too much in the middle of the day for Australia. So I apologize for that, but my recent schedule now means I've got to push it a little earlier. Yeah, so someday I'll be able to do a nice long. So I'll actually cover both time zones. A nice 6-8 hour live stream.
Whoa!
Yeah, then I could
stream your whole day.
Then I could do a daily cartoon. That would be nice. All right. And if you'd like to support what we're doing here, please visit Upturned Table, where we have links to everything that we've done. And patreon.com/Upturned Table will allow you to be a weekling and support what's going on here, as well as give you access to special content and lore videos, and the audio fiction series, which is I'm waiting for the book, the novel to arrive, the first novel for Mutant Chronicles to arrive.
Nice.
It was supposed to be here last month, and so I don't know where. Yeah, so it's a little bit delayed, but I want to start doing chapters of that as the audio fiction. So I apologize for the delay on that. And thank you to K5, just hit month 2 of YouTube membership. So yeah, I think all the original members are now. So I'll put together a little thank you for you guys. Uh-oh, did we break connection? Oh, I can't tell. Let's see here. Let me just go back into the... Oh, sorry if we did. Yeah, of course. Of course, new... technical difficulties will follow us on our return. God damn. Yeah, it's saying offline. Oh, no. Oh, jeez. Hello, everyone. We're back. Okay. So that was only the first 30 minutes. Hopefully that got most of what Chris and I were talking about. Oh, man. Well, I'm back. God damn. There we go. The Russian bot screwed us up. Hey, Yum, how's it going? Yeah, Matt, so did we cut out? I can't, I'm sorry. I was looking, we were sending... but I don't know if it was being received. Yeah, I glanced up enough to our to what we were sending, so I might have to piece this together to get it on the to get it up on YouTube. So I'll download what survived. That's really weird. I didn't see any. There weren't any warnings at all because I could see the green light from here. No, that's a bizarre. So let me, go back to the channel. So this will be a really exciting, version. Sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't see in either place where it was not live. Great. You have to double check that the internet here is... I've had no problems, and I'm on it... Yeah, with the tablet, so sorry about that. But hey, we are still kind of here. There we go. Twice. Oh. All right, live now. So got kicked about 10 minutes ago. Okay, and then a couple minutes ago. Bizarre. Yeah, I'm not sure what's... I'm not getting anything on my end that's saying that I'm not there, but I wasn't looking down. I wasn't looking at live YouTube. I was just looking at OBS that whole time, so I apologize. I'll piece together. I'll download and piece together everything so this stream will exist. Sorry, guys. So sorry everyone was kicked off. So yeah, so we just covered the covered everything with Chris, and especially interested to see what happens with Dark Souls. Of course, the 5e aspect is a big turnoff for Chris, but maybe if they changed it enough, which is strange, that they would use something and then have to just, like Chris was saying, spend so much time chopping it up that it's unrecognizable. So you lose that, because I think the whole reason to use 5e is so people aren't reluctant, because I think a group, especially a group of role players, like, okay, let's learn this new system. We were already getting that, even with the previous Idle Red Hands podcast. I think that was starting to be a real drag. is we wanted to play new games so we could review them, and people just did not want to learn new systems. They're like, can we just do something familiar? We always have to try something new? Do we always have to be looking up rules? So there was some discontent about always trying new systems, even if they were, all year zero games or all 2D20 games. Between the settings, then there was enough variation of the system that you're always learning something. So nothing feels comfortable, and you can't think, in those system mechanics so well. But nice. Hey, how's it going? So sorry, I lost everybody's questions and comments about what we were talking about. They just, we must have disconnected and just kept coming back. Yeah, sometimes YouTube, if you're only down for a little while, will kind of link that live stream together. They won't make it separate files, but this seems to have died. Yeah, Matt's saying, learning new stuff can be a real drag for some players. Yeah, and I think it can definitely divide a group. Oh, interesting. Yeah. But yeah, I know my group does not. Yeah, I think that's the thing we ran into. And even, we were doing it for the purpose of reviewing the games. And even then, people were like, can we just stop? I just want to play a game. And I guess that's also the drawback of streaming an actual play. So that was something. So we did that for the Alien RPG, and I wanted to kind of keep doing that with new systems and things. And some people, you can't enjoy, you can't be yourself, you can't be relaxed if there's a camera on you, and everything that you're saying and all your all your role playing and everything you're doing with your character is going out live on the internet to be scrutinized and then archived forever. So that does make people uncomfortable and eliminates the ability to just enjoy what they're doing. It becomes more of a performance. And if you're not a performer, or if you're not comfortable, if you just want to relax after work, that's not the best situation. Nice. No, that's a good point though. I mean, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed getting into a new system, kind of breaking it down. I guess, yeah, but I think we're like on that's the secret of the success of 5e, is it's just become prevalent enough of the first system that everybody learns, and they're just like, that's all I want to know. I'm kind of done. So it's probably divided between those two groups of players, because the people that'll look for indie RPGs and try out new systems, and then of course a lot of indies have moved to like a single page RPG, or doing something that's rules light enough that there's not a lot to teach. Like, you're not spending an entire session learning a system. Oh, interesting. Yeah, the learning curve. Yeah. So Yum said, learning curves make me panic. That's true. I mean, there's a lot. I get that more for software and things. When I want to try when I want to do something new, it's like, how many weeks am I gonna have to spend until I can just very naturally run through this system? And especially with software, it's keyboard shortcuts and scripting and things. Yeah, I think the internet is doing something again. It's weird. I'm not seeing that anywhere. Not seeing any indication of having internet trouble, but it was just spinning there again for a while. Something's going on. So I don't know if that's on our end or if that's a YouTube thing. Because, no, I guess it happened on Twitch as well. Well, what a great technical discussion of what's going on. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. I think it's more to do with how badly presented most TTRPGs are. That's very true. I've really noticed that, like doing reviews and stuff, how books are laid out, how rules are presented, where you're kind of jumping around. They'll reference a mechanic and you haven't read that yet, and so you literally need to flip ahead 200 pages and read, oh, so that's what that means. Okay, and they really need to... Let's blame YouTube. It can't possibly be. It's been a little while since I've been to the office, but I'll double check. I'll do some speed tests and stuff on the connection and see if there's been fluctuation, it shouldn't be. YouTube should always be playing. It was probably the pornography reference at the beginning of the live stream. All right. Yeah, I think we said both COVID and porn, so that'll knock any live stream right off the right off the internet. Oh man. Yeah, no, that's true. Badly organized or hard to games that aren't easy to teach, or just there's some mechanics that are hard to get across. Yeah, that's why it's always nice. I did that with Alien, and we did that also with Forbidden Lands. Is do kind of a summary rules if the game doesn't do that themselves, to do kind of a summary of rules, because making that yourself, especially as the game master, helps you kind of digest how things work. So, just like they have the solo adventures in some of the starter sets for the game master to play, the doing a rule summary, like at least the best thing that does is it reinforces the terminology. Like when you're laying all that stuff out, it reinforces, the words to use to keep it, the same across, so you're not confusing people by changing terminology. No, that's true. Yeah. I noticed that with board games too. Like teaching a board game is definitely a skill. Like, starting on the simplest concepts and building on things is like the order that you present stuff in. And forgetting to explain things when you're teaching a board game makes for some pretty uncomfortable board game sessions. I think it is. It's a really, it definitely is a skill, and a little bit different from, other kinds of teaching. That's true, because almost everybody here has done some sort of teaching, so you can see the various levels of teaching. All the expats have done probably some English teaching when they were at the most broke. Ah, yeah. So the player kit for Blades in the Dark was kind of cool. Now that I remember. Oh yeah. I was thinking about Blades in the Dark recently. I really I forget something made me watch BioShock Infinite videos and things again, and I love that setting so much. And I was thinking, what system would you use if you wanted to play like a setting like BioShock Infinite without some of the, stripping out some of the mechanics and the time thing, and that is part of the narrative of that story, but having like your own narrative, but kind of keeping that setting, like the floating Columbian exposition kind of city in that turn of the century setting would be fun. And I was thinking, I wonder if the mechanics for Blades in the Dark would work best, because you could make it very heist based. You're infiltrating the city. So I like the religious organization and the floating, kind of turn of the century city, and that level of technology I think would be really fun. And so I was thinking, maybe Blades in the Dark would be a fun way. I'm sure somebody's already done that, because that game was so insanely popular and its visuals are very inspiring. So I'm sure somebody's already done that. But that would be a fun setting to play. And I'm really curious how many people get to play Dark Souls, because I know in our basic kind of core group of gamers, probably most people have played Dark Souls, so they'll know the game and kind of have a good expectation of how like difficult combat's going to be, what the reincarnation and everything's going to be like, what the mechanics for respawning will be. So that'll be kind of fun to get that group. And if they do, keep in mind that they have all these, because there's a lot of great miniatures in the set, and they've produced a ton of expansions too, so we could go on forever. So I'm curious. Oh yeah. Matt said session 0 with some combat examples really helps. Yeah, that's true. When we were doing the world building, the first time I played 5e, and then we did the world building for the pirate campaign that we did, I got there and it was just me and the DM, and he said, "You want to just start out some little early story?" And I was like, just fighting a shark on a raft, basically, until everybody arrived. But it was good because it was the first time I had done done 5e combat. So I was like, "Oh, okay, I get what we're doing here." So yeah, and that's not the hardest, definitely not the hardest system to learn, but that kind of stuff is really good. And to do some kind of early introduction, I think I forget which game it was, but they suggested to have suggest that the players duel or play, challenge each other while the kind of game is getting. You have like you're on a ship traveling, you're doing something, and they suggested just to roll the dice and learn some combat is have the players duel or just have a little mock battle. But yeah, that kind of stuff is always useful. Nice. Ah, yeah. So I find it really hard for lone character games to translate to group activities like TTRPGs, unless one-on-one or solo games. Yeah, these video games are usually tailored to solo play. That's a really good point. And I was kind of wondering that too. They did an okay... I mean, they do an okay job in the board game kind of presenting, because it's so strategy based and you have different roles with different weapons, so you'll want different positioning. But I think that's a good point, is you're thinking very differently when it's a single player going against a large, deadly foe as opposed to a party. So there are going to be more party roles, and people are going to be healing each other, or you'll break up into those kind of tank DPS. Caster kind of positions, and and maybe that's why they chose 5e, so that would be a little more clear. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. But I think that's a good point. Is especially third-party games where you're just looking at the back of your character all the time. Yeah, and I think that's what Chris was asking too. Is are you going to go into villages and interact with people? I mean, you do interact with characters in the Dark Souls game, but it's not, you're not starting out in a tavern and you're not looking at the shady character in the corner, or somebody doesn't approach you with a job. So it's definitely different. Yeah, and I think it'll be easier for people that have experience with the game, but that it might be harder to bring people in that don't. Interesting. One v one, don't wake daddy. Now that is a board game. I love those board games that would give you like horrible anxiety as a kid. What was the Perfection? The one that you push that little platform down and it was on a minute timer, and you had to put all those shapes in the holes before the whole thing popped up. And so you basically had a little rocker switch. So you turned it on and the timer is going, and as soon as you get the last piece in, you turn it off. But the anxiety of that thing popping up and everything you've done for the past, 59 seconds or whatever just flies into the air. That was, I'm sure there's some kids that had early cardiac events. Yeah, board games. All right, and we're still going here. Yeah, sorry about the weird network disruptions. Yeah, Dungeon Crawl Classics. Oh, the funnel. Yeah. I was just that's a great. I think that is a really good tutorial and a really good idea. I like. I was watching a YouTube video about, and I can't credit the channel, but they were talking about the evolution of kind of character creation in D&D, and how the early version, you basically rolled 3d6 in order of the attributes, and that was it. And whatever you rolled, I think that there was like a requirement, at least if one of your stats isn't 15 or over or something, then you should probably roll again. But you were limited to your race and class by what you rolled, and so you could end up with a character you absolutely hate. But there's something interesting about that, like making an unlikable choice at the beginning, or a choice that you wouldn't have made at the beginning, and kind of growing into that character. And the same thing with the funnel. You have a bunch of different low-powered characters, and they go into kind of a meat grinder situation, and the character survives. That's your character, and so there's like an attachment, like you have an attachment, and so that's something that I think has changed a lot, and what's really lacking in 5e and a lot of systems are doing that now, where they say choose your what's your I forget, like archetype, or it's not archetype, but what's your concept? Like you come to the first thing that they want you to come up with when you're thinking of your character is, what's your idea? What's the concept for this character? And it's like, oh, I want to be, some sort of, battle mage, or I want to be a fighter, want to be some, and there's a lot of dual classes and stuff involved in this like early concept, and then the rules. Then you try to make the rules get you to this like image you have of this character, and that leads to a lot of. And now that you can make your own impromptu like fantasy races and everything in 5e and everything, so this weird concept, like you just make it fit into this world. You just force it into this world. Whereas if you have these limited choices and you get stuck, and that's the charm of like Warhammer Fantasy RPG is there's really crappy classes, and you get stuck you start off as a rat catcher or something pathetic, and it's not something you'd really ever want to play, but there's places to get to from there. But but that attachment, that the attachment comes from your narcissism and your hubris to like a 5e character, whereas your attachment comes to surviving something or going through something, or figuring out who this person is while you're playing. That's very different. So the investment, when they talk about player investment, I think it's very different now. And so that means like character death and stuff. If people have this like crazy concept, and it's this character they've always wanted to play, and it's this thing inspired by all this stuff that they've read, and this is exactly what they want to do, and then that character dies. I mean, that's very brutal. So I don't think that works well. I think there's a wrong kind of investment, or the wrong kind of like connection to the character, because telling a good story, if your character dies telling a good story, that's great. That's really worth it. That's a fun adventure, but a good end to an adventure. But yeah, if you've just way too invested and you want this character to become a god-like hero, then I don't know what stories they're going to be happy with. Oh yeah, level 1 to 4 is the character's background. Yeah, that's like a Gygax idea. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And there was that game Nibiru that I looked at that was very interesting, because the characters start out as kind of blank, and you make choices in the game, and that actually provides stats and abilities and things. So you kind of roll your character as you're playing the beginning of the game. I think that's a really neat idea. But those concepts more were like about dreams and kind of in a different consciousness. So kind of remembering, and like your character comes to you as you play it. So that's kind of fun. I think that's an interesting concept. Yeah. Makes a ton of sense. So character concept makes a ton of sense. And when your character doesn't start with, 4 hit points. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that was the, when we played a little 5e, the OSR group played a little 5e, that was a big jump. Like already second level characters, could have, I think my druid had access to like over 100 hit points, because I could burn spells to get D8 health back and things. So I had access to like 100 hit points at level 2. So it was like pretty unstoppable, or just took quite a beating. Yeah, I love those starting and really like, yeah, that gives you the right perspective. I love the Warhammer, like starting out at that lowly, and also the setting is so it's grubby fantasy, so it's all everyone's corrupt and horrible anyhow, so you're not going to ever be heroic. You're going to be a very flawed hero at best. The Rat Basher 3000. I think you have a stick and a vicious dog is your starting equipment. Yeah, and the expansion for that Xanadu is coming. The Nibiru. Yeah, so I would definitely want to. The group would be good for playing that too. I think the group we have now, we can't get together yet. Like everyone is still like their kids' schools are closed because there were cases at their school and stuff. So yeah, it's never ending, and we're up to crazy numbers already. We haven't peaked yet. Japan hasn't peaked yet, so our spike is still getting spikier. Yeah, it's good to have you in chat. No, I'm sorry I missed you on the stream last time. I was a little bit earlier. I don't think I caught you, or it was a bit early. So I think the cartoon stream, the Abuse cartoon stream, is going to be a little bit earlier than usual. But yeah, it's fun stuff. Yeah, so sorry about the connection problems. I will do some tests and see if I can just blame YouTube. But yeah, the connection here is a wired connection, so I'm not dealing with anything wireless at all. So that's a bit disturbing if it was interrupted. But there is a building going up next door, so I might have to tolerate more interruptions than usual if they're going to be digging in the ground and disconnecting and reconnecting things to wire an apartment building. We'll have to see. Yeah, that's the horrible thing with some of the construction around here. You just get these notices. Yeah, you're not going to have any water. You're not going to have any power from this time to this time. And that's how it is. So hopefully that won't disrupt the live stream. Hopefully Chris and I can squeeze stuff in during lunch and not be too disrupted. All right. Well, good. Well, thanks everybody for watching the very broken, very interrupted live stream. I'll try to put everything together. I apologize if it's going to have to be in parts, but I'll try to download everything and put it together as a single video on YouTube at least. So we'll see. Oh, good. Yeah, so I look forward to. So for more of me, I'll be Monday evenings, North American time. I'll do the Abuse Cartoons live stream, and I'll probably I'll be online for some things. So there's like more unboxings and stuff that I can do during the week. So hopefully on this channel, I'll be online before next Friday. And otherwise, Chris and I will be back on Friday doing the same thing. So I guess it's Thursday night in other places, but thanks for joining us, and yeah, we'll find out what Dark Souls. Hopefully, they'll do a play test or a quick start for Dark Souls, because I don't think they're going to crowdfunding. I'm not sure, but I'm really curious about how that's going to go, and that'll give me some time to paint some giant Dark Soul miniatures. So take care, everyone, and we will do this again next week. So good night or good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. And yeah, thanks for joining. And Matt, yeah, good to see you, Matt. Thanks for giving me the okay on everything I sent you, and more to come soon. So this will go up on the Patreon RSS, and I'll try to cobble it together so we have at least one solid audio file. And the same thing with the regular podcast. I'll try to put the audio together from these interrupted fragments. So see you next week. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.